especially those of you that teach in secondary, so middle school, high school. A lot of you will see where writing and content areas tends to be more of a product-based sort of system. You're writing to write the report, the lab paper, the history essay, the whatever nonfiction piece on whatever the topic is that we've chosen or the few topics that we have. And that can be really helpful. But we also want really to make room for kids to do things that not only push their writing volume, but also are going to push their knowledge into their thinking. So one area that really gets us to do both, do the thinking work and also do the work of getting our volume up, would be a brain dump. Now, I'd like to think of brain dumps as a place where this could replace an exit ticket at the end of a classroom lesson. What are all the things that you learned? What are all the things that you've done? What are all the things that you've read? And they can be very quick, but also they can grow into more extended pieces. And they might occur in journals. We might want to think of what sections of a journal or a binder are dedicated to our writing about a topic. But we also might want to think about, do we even have a journal? Because a lot of times what's happening more and more in our classrooms is we're getting away from paper because we're using more digital devices. And what's happening is our thinking is becoming just as fragmented as the digital spaces we're working across, where we have a few ideas on a Padlet. We have a few ideas on what used to be a Jamboard, but now is maybe merged into, Google Slides or something like that. We have a few ideas on a piece of paper that's shoved into a backpack. We have a few ideas that we discussed out loud and had a great discussion about, but then we've gone to gym class and now we've forgotten all about that discussion. So really think of the journal as not being just the physical pages, but where is the actual thinking happening? Where is the one touchstone that we're going to be able to do this work? Because our writing for nonfiction isn't going to grow unless we're doing a couple of things. One, we need to be asking questions, and we need to be engaging deeply in inquiry work. So that means that as you're studying a topic, you can't just be answering the questions that somebody is giving you. You have to start self-generating some questions. And the only way you can do that is by some free writing, some writing to think, some writing that specifically is looking to make connections. And so one way we tend to think about making connections is synthesizing text, right? What does one text say? What does another text say? And that's a very, very legitimate way of thinking about this. But we might also want to grow that so that way students are going to be working more multimodal ways, perhaps through sketch notes. Some of you are doing that work where you have your kids create infographics out of the material. But when we think about sketch notes, think about it not just as I have to create this product of an infographic. Think of it more as what are all the ways that I'm jotting or writing to think. And so this could also include things like mind maps, for example, right? So where we are trying to find the connections, we are in a sense dumping our knowledge into it. It's a place where we can have questions and inquiry work happening. And it doesn't only have to be words, it can also be images. We can also mind map texts that we are finding. So we can put lots of things in this.